All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Patreon live stream here on my YouTube channel, A Fistful of Dice. If you're here joining me live because you're a patron, thank you. Really appreciate that. And thank you for joining me. If you're watching this after the fact, watching this after it's been recorded and archived on my channel, thank you for watching, and if you're interested in joining me live for these things, there's a link down in the description to go check out my Patreon, where I post all kinds of cool content for RPGs, namely D&D 5th edition, and also do things like this. So a couple of weeks ago, I put up a poll asking people what they would like to see for the first Patreon live stream. And the winner by quite a number of votes was some live game prep. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. The streams themselves might run the gambit. I'm going to try to do one of these a month at least. They'll be game prep, game design, world building. We might get into some like pixel art stuff, things like that, mapping. So yeah, it should be fun. We'll go for at least an hour, if not a little bit longer. And if you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to talk about, any ideas, suggestions, anything like that, please feel free to leave them in the chat. I'm looking at the YouTube chat, and I'll also be keeping an eye on my Twitter and the Patreon comments as well. So let me go ahead and set up a screen here. Hope everyone is doing well. We're coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday, which is a big one here in the United States of America. Let me to my Google Doc here. I'll although I don't think that's going to work with Chrome. So hang on, I'll have to do screen capture instead. Nope, don't want that. We want display capture. That's what we want. Hey, there we go. All right, let's move that out. I'll go ahead and there we go. I can set the view to be a little bit fuller here. Zoom in a little bit. Get extra close and you guys can see what I'm typing. Let me know also if the music is distracting or if my mic is not loud enough. I can turn the music down or off, and I can of course boost the gain on my mic here. So all right, and let me also add my webcam here so you guys can see my beautiful face. Oh god, it's too big. Listen, next time we'll have this set up a little bit beforehand. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, cool. Hey, Nathan is here, Earl T. Gray, and he says he loves the music. Awesome, that's great, man. Okay, so game prep. So I actually have a game coming up here that I need to prep for this. So this is going to be some actual game prep that I need to do here, and it's going to be for the Star Wars game that I'm running on my channel here. If you've been keeping up with that game at all, this will be probably enjoyable for you, but also probably contains some spoilers. Not that my game prep always ends up happening exactly the way I envision it, but so the basic gist though is that this is a campaign. It's using Hyperspace D6, which is the hack of the original West End Games D6 that I've released, which you can get on the Patreon. Actually, it's up on there. And the basic idea behind the campaign is that the characters are all Force-sensitive characters who are sort of fleeing the Empire and also trying to reclaim things that they have lost. So namely Jedi artifacts and relics and things like that. So in the first session, the characters, they started on an Imperial prison barge and had to escape together. They didn't have their lightsabers or any of their gear, and they just had to rely on each other and the Force in order to escape the Imperial prison barge. In the second session, in a stolen Imperial shuttle, they followed some mysterious hyperspace coordinates and wound up on a strange storm-racked planet known as Osis that had like this toxic atmosphere from being hit with some like biological weapons in the Great Sith War thousands of years ago. And they landed on this planet. They found this old ruins of this Jedi library, and delving inside, they not only found a lightsaber of a Jedi temple guard, but also a message from a Jedi master, basically giving instructions to Quinway Mox, who is Michael Barker's character, basically telling him where to go to save these relics, these artifacts, these lost pieces of Jedi history, keep them safe from the Empire, from the Purge, from the Inquisition, and take them somewhere on the far reaches of the Outer Rim into wild space, and there create a haven for lost Jedi, wayward Force users. So this is a trilogy, so we've had 2 sessions, and we're coming up on the 3rd session here. This 3rd session is going to need to kind of wrap everything up as much as possible, obviously, and but also kind of up the ante a little bit. So I have here my usual prep notebook for Star Wars. For the ease of sharing here on the stream, I'm going to go ahead and do my prep in Google Docs, which is fine, but I have this in case I need to reference my notes from the previous sessions and things like that. So The first thing I like to do with a Star Wars game is I like to write the opening crawl. For some reason, this just helps me like get into the Star Wars mindset. And so we always start with and the title of this episode is, hang on, do I have the image? Let's bring up the image. You guys can see it. You'll be the first seeing it if you're not one of my players. Residue of Fate, which is an amazing quote from Quinway Mox, Barker's character, in episode 2, where he said that coincidence was the residue of fate. So I loved that. Got a comment here from Nathan. Printed the hyperspace rules. Love how you distilled WG's system. Star Wars RPG was my first exposure to RPGs around middle school. Same, yeah. Like I got started with West End Games D6. It was the first RPG I ever played, even before I knew what RPGs were. And so it's been a system that has been with me, that has stuck with me, and that is something that I really enjoy running and kind of hacking and messing with and stuff. And so this Hyperspace D6 is kind of like the culmination of many years of playing this system, of running this system, of absorbing other people's takes on the system. There's so many good sort of like hacks of the system out there. There's the revised, expanded, and updated version, which is on my shelf back here. A really just amazing fan version. There's Jed's Gordon's D6 Rules Essentials, which is a really similar undertaking to mine, where it attempts to take the West End Games rules and distill them down to their sort of essentials. So yeah, I really enjoy running the system, and Hyperspace D6 is kind of like it's my love letter to West End Games D6. So okay, so let's get into it here. So an opening crawl for a Star Wars session, in my mind, I mean, you have to have one, right? It's a great way to thematically work in both a recap of the last session as well as hint at some of the things that's going to happen in the next session. And for me, in terms of prep, because the reason why it's the first thing that I write is because it gets me into that, like I said, it gets me into that Star Wars mindset. And it also, for me, kind of clues me into what's going to happen in this session, or what do I need to prepare for. And so now the thing is that after I write this opening crawl, I might go back and rewrite certain portions, or adjust things here or there based on the things that I end up coming up with for the session itself. But so when we last left them, they were still on Osis. So we'll say you always want to lead with like a bang, right? Like the first sentence of an opening crawl is always like, it's always a gut punch. Luke Skywalker has disappeared, right? That's the first sentence of the Force Awakens opening crawl, and it just like it just hits you. So we're gonna say the Imperial, and you always all caps. Not that the players can see the all caps when you're reading it, but they can tell. Has come to storm-racked world of Osis, seeking the 4 escaped Force users. We'll go ahead and hyphenate this because Google Docs is yelling at me. We're going to say bidden to transport and protect priceless Jedi artifacts by the late Jedi Master. What was his name? This was Jeff Doty's character. His master, former master, was the one who sort of gave them the mission of doing this. So let me check. I've got it in my notes in another screen here. Let me just grab that. Corvra Cash, that's right. There we go. Bidden to transport and protect priceless Jedi artifacts by the late Jedi Master Corvra Cash. The Force users find themselves once again fleeing with the sinister third sister close behind. And the third sister, so she's an Inquisitor, and the Inquisitors are really are kind of a really neat addition to the Star Wars universe as it exists right now. They really open the door for dark side Force users that are not Sith. There are a lot of like dark side users in the expanded universe, and up until the Inquisition, we didn't really have a way to work those into the existing canon, because, you know, the only dark side Force users that we'd seen in the canon were Sith. And so, well, but then also like people like Asajj Ventress and things like that, I guess. But the Inquisitors are really neat because most of them are fallen Jedi, and so it's kind of this like sinister, scary thing to have these fallen Jedi who are hunting their former comrades, and then anyone who shows any sort of Force sensitivity ability in the Force. And this particular character, the third sister, she is a former Padawan of one of the characters, Jace Tyro, who is Rob Coletta's character. He carries a lot of guilt over losing his Padawan during the Purge, and he's always wondered, you know, what happened to her, and if she's alive, and if so, where. And so when Rob told me that about his character, I instantly knew that I wanted the third sister to be his Padawan. And that was something that I got to reveal in the first session. They ended up dueling the third sister aboard the Imperial prison barge. And at the sort of climactic moment, her mask was shattered, and it was revealed that she was, in fact, Jace's Padawan. So she's a cool character, though. She has a mask, like, you know, most sort of Sith or dark side Force users always have this mask, sort of a trope in Star Wars, but usually the masks are sort of like skull-like, or like a samurai mask, or, you know, think of like, you know, Darth Vader or Kylo Ren. And for the third sister, what I ended up doing is her mask is completely featureless. It's just this like glass sort of sphere, this like black placid glass, and you can see inside the glass that there are like lights and things, almost like she's looking at a computer readout inside the mask. But it just gives her this like very sinister kind of almost inhuman quality, which I really, really like, which is like furthered by the fact that she is almost droid-like in the way that she speaks and her mannerisms and things like that. It's kind of cool because, you know, if you're standing in front of the third sister and you look at her mask, you see yourself in the mask. Like it's a reflection, sort of this mirrored surface. So anyway, I like her a lot. She's a really cool villain, really fun to play. So obviously she's going to factor in a big way in this third and final session. She was a big deal in the first session. She doesn't appear in the second session other than you know, sort of like side scenes. But this third session, it's going to be a big deal. So so the Imperial Inquisition has come to the storm-racked world of Ossus, seeking for escaped Force users. Let's do, instead of seeking, let's use like a stronger verb there, pursuing. And just for our sake, let's go ahead and put the names of our characters here. So we've got Cora, We've got Quinway, we've got Zur, and we've got Jace. Bidden to transport and protect priceless Jedi artifacts by the late Jedi Master Korva Cash, the Force users find themselves once again fleeing with the sinister third sister close behind. Once again fleeing into the unknown with the sinister third sister close behind them. Their flight takes them deeper into unknown space, beyond the furthest reaches of the Outer Rim. Danger lurks in the darkness. Let's see, dark of wild space. But greater danger still waits. Flight takes them deeper into unknown space beyond the furthest reaches of the Outer Rim. Danger lurks in the dark of wild space, but greater danger still pursues them. We'll say each Force user must contend Okay, their flight takes them deeper into unknown space, beyond the furthest reaches of the Outer Rim. Danger lurks in the dark of wild space, but greater danger still pursues them. Each Force user must contend with their greatest failings, confronting past mistakes and buried fears, in order to forge a new path for themselves and the fallen Jedi Order. Let's go ahead and do... Cool. I like that. That sets it pretty nicely. You get the idea of like, okay, well, it's going to be a chase, and they're going to have to confront like their mistakes and their fears and stuff, which is, you know, obviously pretty obvious with someone like Jace, who's going to have to contend with his former Padawan, but you know, everyone else too. So, so my prep tends to be pretty simple, pretty light. So we'll try to keep this as light as possible here. Let me go ahead and title this Reclamation Episode 3, just so I don't lose it. Okay. So they're going to start on Ossus. Obviously. Let's go ahead and make this a actual heading. All right. There we go. Okay. Ossus. All right. So they're going to be, you know, fleeing down stone corridors. Oh, and I had an idea for, I mentioned in the last episode that there was going to be a ship waiting for them, and their shuttle that they had stolen had been destroyed. And so I was going to look up what the name of those ships were. Let's see. What is the name of those, like, those red, like, blockade runner looking ships in the prequels? Red ship from Phantom Menace. consular class cruiser. Commonly referred to as a Republic cruiser, was a Corellian Engineering Corporation starship used by the Galactic Republic to transport Jedi and diplomats to troubled spots across the galaxy. I've always really liked the look of that ship. It definitely reminds me of like the classic like CR-90 Corvette, the blockade runner. I think it was it based on a, hang on. Yeah, it was kind of based on the original concept art for the Millennium Falcon, which I think is cool. It's like a cool touch. Yeah. This is funny. The early designs of the Consular class cruiser had a smooth Coruscant look to it. After several iterations, George Lucas and Doug Chung decided that the cruiser should have a strong visual link to the original trilogy. With that direction, Chung and the art department devised a ship with a more rectilinear profile that echoed the design of Star Wars Episode IV: A New Hope's blockade runner. One of the last additions to the cruiser was the small antenna array resting above the cockpit. Lucas felt that the ship needed a little extra something. Resting above the cockpit. Oh yeah, it has that little like sensor dish. So let me bring a picture over so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about here. This ship from Phantom Menace. I always really like the look of that ship. So they're gonna get one of those basically. Yeah, Macquarie forever, dude. Absolutely. Ralph Macquarie, his concepts are just legendary. That's something I'm really enjoying. I'm watching Rebels right now, and I'm really enjoying the Macquarie-esque designs of like the characters and the ships, and even like the blasters and lightsabers and stuff are very like Macquarie-esque, which I appreciate. So, yeah, I'm actually I'm going. I got tickets for my dad and I to go to this thing at the Tacoma Art Museum. That is going to be here. Where did it go? I got my tickets for it here. Yeah, so we're gonna go see Colin Cantwell at the Tacoma Art Museum. Colin Cantwell was the guy who originally did the ship designs for like the X-wing and the Y-wing and stuff like that. He was one of the pioneers of like the kit bashing movement, where you would take like old model kits and stuff and kit bash. You would take the different pieces and put them together to create entirely new designs, and that's how they designed a lot of the ships in the original Star Wars movies. And even like the Death Star trench and stuff was all put together from like different model kits that were like sort of stripped apart and put back together, and it really like gave Star Wars its like worn, used, lived in sort of look, which I've always really appreciated. So anyway, I get to go meet him and hear him talk about stuff, and even get a couple prints and get them signed and stuff. So looking forward to that quite a bit. So let me check my message here. Cool. Okay, so all of that to say, acquire consular class. I already forgot what it was. Just a cruiser, right? Yeah, cruiser. Okay, cool. Consular class cruiser hidden in docking bay beneath temple. Okay, fleeing down stone corridors, purge troopers in pursuit, shadows of the third sister, like catching glimpses of the third sister behind them. All right, I want to have we haven't had like a ship combat in this campaign yet, and so I really want there to be some kind of combat And I'm not sure exactly what I want it to be. I definitely want like lots of different things happening. And so what I think I want to have happen is I want there to be like basically they have this chip with like the coordinates in it, but I think that the coordinates will have to be like decrypted. And so basically I want it to be like a few different things going on. So let's call this like a escape from OSIS skill challenge. Basically what we've got going on is we'll need someone piloting the cruiser, avoiding hazards, dodging attacks, etc. Dodging attacks, outrunning enemies, etc. We'll need someone decrypting the coordinates. This could also be like, you know, the Nava computer is able to do it. And someone like manning the gun turrets and dealing with boarders. So basically, I want there to be a lot of different things happening where it's like a very intense action scene, and I can kind of like do the Star Wars thing where I like go back and forth to what's going on. So, you know, in one like area of the ship, it's in the cockpit and they're piloting the cruiser, you know, and sort of dodging shots and, you know, weaving in through destroyed ships and stuff like that. Because I mentioned there's this like debris field when they were flying in. Let's actually make a note of that. Avoiding debris, so I don't forget that there's that debris field. And then, you know, the coordinates being decrypted is kind of like a timer. Like they have to basically hold off enemies until the coordinates get decrypted. Manning the gun turrets, I'm going to have ARC 170 fighters attacking the consular ship, and so they're going to have to be dealing with that, you know, Millennium Falcon style, dun 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 dun, that sort of thing. And then dealing with boarders, I want a ship to like forcefully dock with the consular ship and purge troopers and the third sister to get on the ship. Ideally, that's what happens. So I feel like that would be a cool kind of like cutting back and forth sort of action scene. So yeah, I think that'll be cool. And then sort of making the jump. Cool. Right on. So from there, they're going into like new territory. And so what I was going to do is I was going to see if there's a Star Wars planet generator. Thank God there is. Here we go. So this is actually from Donjon. There's a Star Wars D6 system generator, and it'll generate you a planet. So we're going to go ahead and use this to get some ideas for where they're going to end up. I don't want them to go to an established planet. I want them to go somewhere new we haven't seen before, somewhere sort of off the beaten path, as it were. So, all right. Let's go ahead and generate one here. Mara, that's cool. Dega, Jutria, Drena, Siste, Enan. Ooh, that's neat. I'm gonna make a note of the ones that I like here. That's neat. That's very like alien feeling, very like, I don't know, it feels very like ancient, I guess. Azus, Javi, Kalia, Gedio, Parmesan, Gan, Doshi, Kidai, Dara, Barney, Akos, Myla, Kalo, man, I like Anon. The word Anon feels cool. Curry, Karda, Ravi, Gori, Lakua is cool. Vana, that's neat too. I'm gonna write that down. Like anything that has like multiple vowels in a row, I'm like, oh yeah. Kodra is cool. Rekua, Ghana, Jera, Lyra, Kari, Axis. Okay, I think Inan. Yeah, I think Inan is what we're gonna go with. So the planet is called Inan. Okay, so the planet itself is a moon orbiting a gas giant. Moon orbiting a gas giant with a breathable atmo. I like the idea that it's a wetlands planet. Predominantly wetlands. Temperature, I think it's temperate. Temperate. I'll just take some quick notes here with standard gravity. Say yeah, okay, so it's a moon orbiting a gas giant with breathable atmo. Dozens of other moons in orbit. Predominantly wetlands, temperate, with perpetual mist clouding everything. And then what I was thinking is that on this planet, like there has to be a reason why they have to come here. And so what I think is that there's maybe like I feel like having it be an ancient temple is too, I don't know, it's too convenient having it be like an ancient Jedi temple. So I like the idea that it's maybe like a base, like a Jedi or like an Old Republic base from like the Great Sith War. Having it be a little bit more like militaristic and like fortified, almost like a hidden sort of forward base, is what I'm thinking. Maybe like going for more of like the base on Hoth or Crate, than like a crumbling stone sort of temple, because we got that flavor with the temple in episode 2, of this trilogy, and so I think having it be a little bit more of that kind of like Spartan metal feel, I think will kind of be an interesting sort of thing. It also makes sense, like if you're a Jedi and you're fleeing from the Empire and you're looking for a place to hide out, like I feel like you'd want like some sort of like hidden military base, right? So give it more of a rebellion feel than a Jedi Order feel, if that makes sense. So we're gonna put location of hidden Old Republic military outpost left over from Great Sith War. So put like it has like a main bunker, sort of like protruding, almost like it's like beneath the wetlands, right? Protruding, main bunker protruding from the wetlands, with tunnels veining outward. And then I think like some sort of challenge when they get there obviously is going to be finding the place. Finding the temple, because they called it a temple in the last one. Be like faint signal, and what I'm thinking is maybe they have to fight something, like a monster or something. So let's look here. Let's look at some good like Star Wars monsters that they could maybe fight. Like a Rancor would be great, obviously, but I don't know if they really fit in like a marshy sort of thing. Let's see. I mean, Rancors are cool, but what about that crazy like thing in Attack of the Clones, that crab thing? Yeah, maybe I'll do the Acklay. Here, I'll Star Wars Acklay. Yeah, it's this thing. This guy here. That's like, it's a cool creature design. It's like very Ray Harryhausen, I feel like. So they were native to the planet Vendaxa. Vendaxa was a fertile planet located in the expansion region of the galaxy that was the homeworld of the Acklays, a species of crustacean from its lush plains. Okay. So it's I feel like that would work. So, faint signal, ambushed by Acklays, and I think they're going to have to deal with like several of them. So we'll put that in there. There we go. Ooh. That's a good idea, Nathan. Trash compactor monster. Dianoga. That's what it's called. Dianoga. I don't know why I didn't think of that. That might be even better, especially for a swamp. Oh, man. Dianoga. That's what it's called. Yeah, Dianoga. Okay, cool. Dianoga were large, omnivorous cephalopods that hailed from the planet Vordran in this Kiklata cluster. Although primitive, they were actually sentient, and some Dianoga were sensitive to the Force. Oh! Forget Acklays. We're gonna have a Dianoga. Okay. So they're potentially force sensitive. Let's see. So it doesn't. It just mentions offhandedly that they are force sensitive. So I might look more into that, but I like the idea that it's like a Dianoga, like a massive Dianoga with like its tentacles like coming out and attacking them, and then eventually the eye will pop up, and they'll maybe have to like hone in on the eye. That's cool. Ooh, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be like the Dianoga like basically like knocks the tracker out of whoever's carrying its hand, or tries to, and if they drop it, you know, they'll have to try to get it out of the water while they're fighting the Dianoga. So it's kind of like something else going on during. Yeah, I like that. Cool. Massive Dianoga, multiple tentacles, knocks tracker out of hand, and then I'm gonna put force sensitive, because I might play with that, or I might just leave that as a note for during the session, have it come up like you can sense this thing and like it's sensing you, and you can feel its pain in your mind, and that you know how it is. Cool. And then so I want there to be like a final duel with the third sister, and ultimately I'm not sure what this looks like or how it happens, but it's one of those things where I'm just I'm gonna kind of bank on figuring it out during the session. Either she somehow tracks them there, or she stows away on the ship, or it's not actually her, but like a dark side manifestation. I don't know, something. Playing around with that idea, and having there be like some final sort of climactic duel. Climactic duel with third sister. Stows away on ship, tracks them. Dark side manifestation. Can she be redeemed? Turned? Cool. So yeah, I feel like that's probably like the bulk of like what I need to prep. But the other thing that I like to have ready to go when I prep a game is, I call them incidentals. And they're just like little things that I can throw in whenever I need like a touch of something, a sensory detail, a minor scene, something like that. Something cool that happens. So like an incidental could be like a purge trooper with a huge shield blocking parried blaster bolts and protecting other troopers. So that could be a cool thing that I throw in, like in the combat aboard the consular cruiser. You know, this purge trooper comes in and has this big shield, and the other purge troopers are firing their blasters from behind the shield, and you know, the Jedis are blocking the blaster bolts, but they're not hitting anybody because this purge trooper has this massive shield. So yeah, third sister dampens the force completely, shutting off the connection. That's something I want to play around with. Other cool things. lightsaber flashback with Korra has this lightsaber that once belonged to another female Jedi, and she has this connection to it. She found it. It sort of called out to her. Lightsaber flashback with Korra and the former owner. Something with message for Zur from his former master. Here we're getting into it here. Let's go ahead and make this 10 point. There we go. Quinway flashback. Vision of what's to come. Seeing Luke and Rey. I kind of like the idea of Quinway having like a prophetic vision and seeing, you know, the future of the Jedi. Something with Jace. I want something with Jace here. Oh, Zur also found a Temple Guard lightsaber white. I kind of like the idea of him, like him being fated to be the protector of the temple. This base that they find. Other incidental stuff. Oh, what are the fighters? Clone Republic fighters. There's the ARC 170s. Jeez, excuse me. And there's the V-Wing. V-Wings are cool. I don't even remember when the V-Wing shows up. I guess it's in Revenge of the Sith. I don't really remember it though. But anyway, V-Wing's cool. It's like a neat looking ship. Looks like this. Yeah, it's cool. I like how there's like these deflector shields over the astromech. It's kind of cool. So anyway, V-Wings and a Venator class Star Destroyer. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I feel good about this. I think that I'll probably continue tinkering with this a little bit. Sort of as the week goes on, because the game isn't until Monday. So I'll continue tinkering with it and kind of working ideas into it and coming up with cool incidentals and things like that. Yeah, so yeah, the game itself is Monday at 6 here on the channel. So if anyone feels like tuning in and checking it out, that'll be when it is. We're coming up on about an hour here, so I'm probably going to go ahead and call it. But this has been a lot of fun. Thank you if you tuned in and joined me live. Nathan, man, thank you for being active in the chat. It's good talking with you. And again, if you're watching this after the fact, you can join me live for videos like this and other things. Down in the description, there's a link to my Patreon. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining me. Again, this game is going to be next Monday at 6. Hope to see you guys there. And yeah, as always, take care. Happy gaming all.